All right, so there's a big debate raging on Twitter right now over exactly whose responsibility Ladd McConkey was on his vertical route on this touchdown pass. Is it Trey Diggs? Is it the safety? I learned a thing or two from a couple of guys over on Twitter on this play specifically and some of the rules as it pertains to cover 2 zone. Shout out Ben Larimore, John Owen, and great dudes. They know ball over on Twitter. And I want to show you whose responsibility this actually was in all likelihood. And then I want to give you my thoughts on this Chargers-Cowboys game and the Cowboys moving forward. All right, so the Chargers send Ladd McConkey in motion here towards the bottom of the screen. You'll see he's going to be the outermost receiver. And so Trey Diggs has to both keep his eyes on him as well as the man next to him, Keenan Allen, to see what he's doing. Now, if Keenan Allen runs a vertical, that means Trey Diggs' responsibility now lies with the outside guy on his vertical. The premise here being the safety can't be in 2 places at once, covering all that ground against 2 different receivers. All right, now let's run it and see how this goes down. All right, so I want to pause it here. You saw Trey Diggs kind of go flat-footed there for just a second, and that was really all Herbert needed to see to chuck this ball down the field. Look at all the open field that these guys have. You got the receiver in the middle of the field there at the 20. You got the running back down here around the 25-yard line. Either one of those guys catches this ball, and it's probably going to be a first down because you're expecting your corner at the 15 to go and tackle one of these 2 guys. You also got Logan Wilson at about the 10-yard line, can maybe come down and make a tackle on the middle receiver there. But you get this ball to the running back, and it's, I mean, you've got probably at least a first down, if not more. And this is the problem I have with this scheme and kind of the calls, the very basic play designs. You're not challenging these receivers. You're not challenging the quarterback to have to make difficult throws. You're giving these guys just so much open field that it's unbelievable. And you see guys on every throw just about on defense here, just allowing guys to be wide open. And so the players aren't great on this defense. You've got issues personnel-wise, but schematically, I'm not sure how you can continue to run basic cover 2 and cover 3 defenses all season and just allow guys this much space and this much room uncovered, untouched for 5 to 10 to 15-yard gains at a time. It's embarrassing, and I can't wait for this to be over. And so now continuing with the play, you see Trey Diggs does get beat, and it ends up in a Ladd McConkey touchdown. And so listen, anytime someone breaks down film for you can put a little asterisk next to it because you don't know exactly what the play call is, what the design is schematically, what these players are being asked to do. But there are certain principles that they should be abiding by, and I'm learning some of these principles as I go here. You know, I mentioned those guys over on Twitter. They're really great. They know ball. And anytime I'm wrong, anytime that I learn something new, I like to put it out there because I find it interesting, and so I think others will find it interesting as well. And so that's what I learned about this cover 2 situation with Trayvon Diggs, is that his responsibility did in fact shift and lie with Ladd McConkey on his vertical. It was a great play design by the Chargers, and the Cowboys did in fact get caught with their pants down. Now Trey Diggs didn't do what he was supposed to do, but one way or another, this play was going to be a successful call by the Chargers. And so now looking at this game and just the Cowboys as a whole, you know, I see a lot of people blaming the offense, and the offense wasn't perfect. They didn't do what needed to be done, especially in the second half. They started off hot, scoring 17 points, and they slowed down in the second half. You know, the 4th and 1 play that got stuffed where Hunter Lipke got hit in the backfield. I had no issues with the play call. You know, some people wanted Dak to QB sneak, and I'm not, I know if you're in the game, you should be playing, right? And you call the game to go win the game, so especially if your starters are in there, you know, but I'm not calling anything that it could potentially lead to an injury to one of my more significant players in the team, like a Dak Prescott. I'm just not going to call a QB sneak. And by all measures, this 4th and 1 Hunter Lipke handoff, this fullback dive should have worked, but the defender just made a really good play. You know, these guys get paid too. The defender shot in there right on the snap, and he just made an excellent play. It is what it is. Sometimes you get beat. And so, you know, the offense, again, they didn't do what needed to be done. But the root of everything that ails this team is defensively. And I know it's the low-hanging fruit, but that's what it is. There's no way around it. You can't expect your offense to go out there and score touchdowns every single time they touch the ball. You know, they get 7 points taken off the board. They go kick a field goal. You know, so you lose out on 4 points there because of the Tyler Smith hold. But really, you're losing out on more than 4 points because you know the Chargers are going to get the ball and go down and score a touchdown. So it's like the first team to kick a field goal in these games with the Cowboys oftentimes loses the game because if it's not touchdowns, you're not keeping up. You're not keeping pace. And so, you know, the Cowboys kick a field goal there. Chargers go score 7 points. And so now that's kind of like an 11-point swing because you missed out on your 4. They got 7. I mean, it's kind of crazy. And then later on, you know, the 4th and 1, Cowboys don't get that. Chargers go down and score more points. So like every time the Cowboys offense makes a mistake, and takes maybe points off the board or turns the ball over or has to punt or something like that, you know the other team's going to go down and score points. And you cannot coach a game. You cannot win a game. You cannot play offense with that in mind. I mean, it's 0-0, but you're playing almost in a negative game script at that point because you've got to go score points or you're going to be out of the game. It's crazy to think about, but that's just what this defense is doing to this team. And as you can see, in the play that I showed, there was like 3 guys that were open on that play. And it's like that down after down, snap after snap, because Eberflus's scheme, going back to the video that I made last week, and I appreciate all the love and support on that video, his scheme is just so basic. You're playing so much cover 2, so much cover 3. And now they played more man this game. They sent some blitzes. It still didn't work, and so that speaks to the lack of personnel that you have. But at least you've got to try to do something different. You can't just come out here and all season long just run these basic schemes, these basic zone concepts that offenses can just pick apart. And you saw when Dan Quinn came in here. I mean, the guy in the Legion of Boone, he perfected kind of that cover 3 zone scheme they had over there, but it was a little more aggressive than just a basic just rush force, sit back and just play defense. They also had some really elite players in their secondary, but Dan Quinn came in here and he realized, listen, I've got some guys that can play man coverage pretty damn good. And, you get Trayvon Diggs, you get, Deron Bland having excellent seasons. He turned guys like Curse into players, okay? He took this secondary in this defense and made it a ball-hawking, turnover, feasting defense. Obviously, he had Micah Parsons. That helps a lot, so he had guys that helped as well. But he changed from a zone concept and a major zone scheme to more of a man-based scheme. That wasn't what he preferred. That's not what he was known for, but he adapted and he changed. And Eberflus does not have the ability or the desire to do something like that. And so I don't know who the Cowboys are going to bring in as DC. I don't think they're going to keep Flus. I think that would be the most insane thing that I've ever witnessed in my life if they do that. But they need help at linebacker, need help at safety, corner. You definitely need some pass rushers. That's probably the biggest issue with this team right now, because you get some pass rushers and all of a sudden now you start seeing your secondary play better. And so I fully expect them in the first round of the draft to take one of these premier pass rushers, whether it's their first or second pick in the first round, but they've got to take somebody who can get some pressure on the quarterback. Maybe they'll address some of these positions in free agency. We saw Jerry Jones in the front office more active in this season, before the season, during the season. You saw some trades like George Pickens. You saw the trade for Quinnen Williams. These are big time trades that he made that you normally don't see them make. And so it gives me a little bit of hope that maybe they'll be more aggressive this offseason. I know they're in the red right now as far as their cap goes, but there's all sorts of things they can do. They can pull the old Dak restructure lever once again and just screw themselves down the road, which I'm all for. Let's go ahead and do that. The CD, I think, is a no-brainer to get restructured. You can do some stuff with Kenny Clark's contract. He has no guarantees left, so even if you want to move on from him next year, you can do that. They can extend or do something with Quinnen Williams' contract. George Pickens, I don't want to see him tagged because that's an immediate $28 million cap hit or something like that right off the bat. I don't want to see that. Go ahead and extend him, sign him to a long-term deal, backload that sucker, and there's all sorts of things they can do to keep this team together and keep building on what they've started, as well as bring in new pieces. So that's what I'm looking for this offseason. We'll start draft stuff here pretty soon. Not quite yet, maybe another week or two. We'll start talking a lot more about the draft. But with all that said, man, I appreciate y'all checking out this video. Please hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. I'm a newer channel. I split off from my Lorddylly channel a while back, and we're just getting the ball rolling here on the football side. So appreciate y'all tuning in. Hit that sub button, that like button, as always, and I'll catch you later.
Lorddylly, you know we ride in every game, we never hide. Dallas Cowboys, our pride, our fate, we'll dominate. We won't